And then as far as living out here now, being in Austin. Austin is very, I don't want to use the word liberal, but there's a lot of hipsters and people with skinny jeans and that stuff. Is it weird being, because I don't want to say you're red or you're not red, because I don't fucking know. Most people think you're red. Yeah. Is it like you're red living in a blue city in a red state?
That is this is a blue city, but I'm not really red.
That's what I don't think either.
No. Yeah. I've never voted Republican in my life. Right. I think that both systems suck, and I think that what I'm pushing back against is the crazy ideologies. It has nothing to do with universal basic income. It has nothing to do with welfare. It has nothing to do with funding community programs and cleaning up cities. Like, I'm all for all that stuff. I'm even for higher taxes if I believe the government was competent with your money. I'm not like higher. If it's higher taxes and it proves that we have less crime and the world's a safer place, that would be great. But that doesn't seem like they know how to do that. And what seems like when you give a lot of money to the government, they create a lot of government jobs, and those government jobs make those people a lot of money. We looked into the homeless situation in L.A. And it's my friend Colion Noir told me about this because he's a lawyer and he went to San Francisco. When he was in San Francisco, he was talking to someone. He's like, why haven't they fixed the homeless thing? Is it like a funding issue? And the guy was like, no, it's the opposite. They make so much money. The people that are in charge of dealing with the homeless situation, some of them are making more than $200,000 a year, like $240,000 a year. And the homeless thing just keeps getting worse.
So what do you think it is?
It's
your opinion.
It's mental health. It's people that are addicted to drugs. Yeah. People. There's a lot of soldiers. Sadness. Unfortunately, there's a lot of vets that came back and their experiences were very traumatic for them, and they never recovered. And maybe they got on drugs as well. There's a lot of people with mental illness. They need
group therapy.
You know, it all started during the Reagan administration, I believe. Check if this is true. I think during the Reagan administration, they changed what they can do in terms of like mental health institutes. They decided to like let people out instead of like there's certain people that they have to be cared for. You know, they're so compromised that in a good, just society, you would care for those people. And there would be a dedicated place, just like this dedicated place for people who have bad knees. You go in and get surgery. You know, they don't go, fucking walk it off, pussy, hobble around. No, they have a place that's dedicated. Yeah.
No, it's similar to AA, right? I mean, AA is pretty much a place, you know, we all have friends that are in AA, and they go there and they have, what is it, the 10-step rules?
12.
Or 12 steps. What not to do when you physically walk in a bar.
So here it is. 1981, President Ronald Reagan, who had made major efforts during his governorship to reduce funding and enlistment for California mental institutions, pushed a political effort through the U.S. Congress to repeal most of MHSA. The MHSA was considered landmark legislation in mental health care policy. So I think what happened was when that MHSA Act got passed in 1980, what happened was they just started letting people out in the streets. When I was a boy, I remember a marked increase in homeless people in Boston when this happened. And I remember people talking about it. And they're like, yeah, they're just letting them on the street now. Like, that's not caring for someone. That's not being kind. That's insane. And you would see people just having screaming matches with themselves. Like, they're clearly mentally ill and clearly not on medication. Just screaming at people that aren't there and fighting demons and shit.
You see it on the streets. So if you were president in a serious, because obviously you could probably run and probably win if you wanted to. I know you don't want to.
Dude, I'm not running for anything.
I know, but I'm just saying if you decided and one of your arms was mental health. And that was, what would you do if you were talking to, say, Tony Hinchcliffe was in charge of the mental health? What would you tell him to do?
That's the last person I'd put in charge. He'd have them all killed.
That's true.
So Tony Hinchcliffe would tell him, hey, guys, keep backing up. We're going to take a picture. Maybe the edge of a fucking cliff. So. Tony Hinchcliffe's ruthless.
So what would you say to them?
It wouldn't be me, but if somebody was president, if they were going to fix this, what they would do is reinstitute something like that. change what that was and go back not just to the old way, but even better. Go back to a way where if you have someone who's mentally compromised, you know that they could be cared for, and we would be willing to pay for that in taxes. I'm sure we would. Yeah. I'm sure we would. If they knocked homelessness down to like a tiny fraction of what it is now, and our tax dollars paid for mental health institutes, who knows if that wasn't like more profitable for the overall society? It probably would be. It would probably be more profitable if there was less break-ins, less crime, less people having overdoses in the streets, less assaults, less. I mean, who knows what horrific things go on in those encampments? They basically have there's like these chaos shanty towns in the middle of one of the biggest cities in the greatest country in the world, and everyone's just tolerating it. But meanwhile, if you jaywalk on Sunset, they'll fucking arrest you. Yeah. Or at least they used to before.
So back to the AA situation, because my father, Sammy Shore, rest in peace, he was an alcoholic. So he had to drink. So it wasn't like one drink, but he had to keep going. So that's what he did, is he had to stop to go to AA. So do you think there's something like that for people for mental health besides AA, with all because there's some people that are addicted to pills or you know what I mean?
Well, I think if anything, we should open up all possible options